Welcome to the Real Comic Heroes Podcast. Your adventure into the world of comic book movies starts here.
Greetings, citizens, and welcome to another adventure of the Real Comic Heroes Podcast. I'm a person, and my name is Travis.
It's questionable if I'm a person, but my name's Patrick. And we've got a special guest today.
Oh, am I an angel? No. No, I'm Liz. Just Liz.
Nice.
Yeah. That's some of the fine acting you will find in this motion picture. You guys did better, honestly.
I think honestly, some of our line readings.
All right. So yeah, if you haven't figured it out, we're here for 1989 Lucasfilms episode 1.
Yep.
Question mark.
The Phantom Menace.
I completely forgot they called this episode 1.
Yeah.
Because I always think of the original one as the first one, so it screws with my mind.
Yeah. They didn't really start pushing the episode stuff until after the first one came out, and then I feel like for the re-release in 97, they were kind of trying to get the episode titles in people's heads, and then leading up to this, of course.
Yeah, I just forgot it was part of the actual title.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. I knew about their mismatching timelines and going prequel, sequel, prequel, and God knows what else.
Yeah,
but yeah, Phantom Menace.
That's right.
Star Wars.
Yeah, Liz, what do you remember about what's your history with this? First time seeing it, whatever.
This was my first Star Wars that came out while I was sort of existing in the universe. And I loved it when it came out. I didn't see it in the theater, but I had the DVD and I watched it constantly.
Yeah.
On my early 2000s iMac, the colored iMac, just sitting on my bedroom floor watching it over and over, and all the special features. And
nice.
I was very into it. I had the Queen Amidala Pepsi can in my room that I never opened until I left for college. I'm sure it was great. But I think she was on Diet Pepsi, so I wasn't going to drink it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the Star Wars movie that really made me a Star Wars fan.
Okay.
I think before then, I really knew about Star Wars because of the Muppet Babies.
Yeah.
So,
oh wow!
I've talked about
that.
I've talked about that when we did the original Star Wars. That was probably my introduction to Star Wars was Muppet Babies.
Yeah. So this was the thing. I remember watching all the stuff, all the hype on MTV, and the guy that got a Darth Maul tattoo on the majority of his leg before the movie even came out.
Yeah.
And just how hype people were.
For sure.
And I loved it. In 1999, I thought it was great. Didn't know what acting was supposed to look like.
Sure.
And the visual effects were still impressive at the time. So yeah, I was all in.
Right on. Patrick, what about you?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I did see it in the theater, maybe a week after it came out, because it was nuts with lines around the block kind of thing,
right?
And camping out and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was excited for it, and it started off great, and then Mr. Binks showed up and kind of gave me a headache, and I got that same headache today because Misa drives me nuts. But I did forget how much I hated the leader of the Gungan.
Yes.
And his shaky jowl talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jar Jar not as bad as that guy. So I've got a new appreciation for Jar Jar in a sense. Still annoying.
It's like a dad.
Yeah. It was, I do recall the computer graphics on the movie being a little we're playing with this toy too much.
Okay.
And it looking kind of weird.
Yeah.
I didn't think it looked bad at the time, but I remember thinking it what I know today as Uncanny Valley kind of vibe. But then I was just like, I think that's supposed to be good. but I don't know. And yeah, I'm not typically a fan of child actors.
Okay.
In general, yeah, there's obvious caveats to that, but so I give a lot of slack to the Anakin kid.
Yeah.
I think they gave him a lot. They focus on him way more than I remembered. I thought he was just kind of just pod racing.
Okay.
And talking about how good looking the princess was, but I didn't remember all the other pieces that I rewatched yesterday.
Yeah.
So that, and I didn't recall how many times they show his face in the pod racer, making just the most random.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
And how long the pod racer scene was, I forgot.
Too long.
Yeah.
There's an extended cut of it. There are
deleted
pod race scenes.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's for selling video games or whatever, but
yeah. Because I feel like the version that I rewatched on Disney Plus has all 3 laps. And I know I've seen, I think the theatrical had 2 laps, or I don't know.
Oh, okay. I watched the Disney Plus version.
Okay.
If there's more than.
So did I. But I feel like when I watched it yesterday, they only showed 2 full laps this time.
Yeah.
They referenced that they were in a third because it felt shorter than the last time I watched it on Disney Plus. They be editing Disney Plus.
True.
Like they just change stuff on those versions whenever they feel like it.
Yeah.
But I remember not being impressed that much by it.
What about yesterday, you, Travis? I was not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I talked about being introduced to Star Wars through the Muppet Babies, but then we went through a period of time with really no Star Wars, aside from the re-released stuff in '97, which I never made it out to the theaters to see those. I think shortly after that, I got the VHS, trilogy of the special editions. So I started watching the original trilogy after that. And then once the hype train started for this movie, I was on board. I mean, talked about the Pepsi cans. I mean, that I remember, I was working a job and, on my lunch breaks or whatever, there was a Pepsi machine. And every day, I'd get a Mountain Dew or Pepsi or whatever, just trying to get, all the cans, all the different cans or whatever. I started buying. At one point, I owned all of the Phantom Menace toys, all the the action figure line that came out for this movie, and there were a ton of characters released. So yeah, I mean, I bought into the hype. I was excited for Star Wars. I went and saw this in theater with my cousin Erica. I was 16, and I didn't see it opening, weekend or anything. So I missed, or, I skipped the crazy theater stuff that people were camping out for or whatever. But yeah, I did see it in theater, I think maybe twice, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I was not, the reputation that this movie got after the release, it completely missed me. And I think at the time I wasn't really talking to Star Wars fans. I didn't know anyone really at school that was out about being a geek. I don't, maybe that's what it was. And so I didn't have conversation. Plus it was the summer, by the time I saw it, I think I was just not graduated, but just, finished the school year. So yeah, I didn't really talk about this movie with a lot of people. And so to me, it was a movie I enjoyed. I was able to ignore, I guess, a lot of the backlash or whatever. And so yeah, it was just always kind of a movie that I really enjoyed. And then it was like, oh yeah, people don't care for this one. And then
that's crazy to me, honestly.
I'm sure I heard it, but I think I was probably more like, I liked it, but I'm not going to speak up and say I liked it and get into a conversation about it, So.
You misunderstand. I'm surprised you liked it.
Okay. Yeah.
It was just so damn long.
I mean, we've done longer movies, and I don't know.
And we'll get into it, but this felt like 2 movies.
Okay.
It
does.
It's like, I forgot how much this is like 2 movies and how little Darth Maul's in this movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because that was like the best part. And I was like, okay, I could handle it for him. And then I'm like, oh crap, he's barely in this thing.
He's the Boba Fett of this movie.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I'm surprised you were into it in your teenage years.
I mean, and I maintain that I'm into this movie. There's certainly parts I don't care for, but on the whole, I am very positive about this movie. And I think it's a movie, and the prequels in general, I think, have gotten better with time. They've certainly, I think, the fans have come back around to liking this movie, and the younger fans have, really liked the prequel trilogy. So
I think the animated Clone Wars has hurt this prequel set to me, like, because they're so much better than the movies, in my mind. Anyway,
they are better, but they actually make me appreciate these more, because then I can see, I'll be like, oh look, there's Depa Billaba.
Yeah,
she's in this.
Yeah.
And like,
oh god, we're getting into the crazy names that I don't know. It's like when Travis mentioned the garbage compactor monster had a name. And
yep.
A New Hope.
Dianoga.
Oh good
Thank
god,
you're outnumbered, man.
Yep.
I just call it garbage monster, and that's all you need. Not Dionysus of Canogar or whatever the hell.
Yes, you got it called. Exactly. Perfect.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Awesome.
Yep.
Sounds like some Greek mythology monster.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah. I have another first experience with this movie voice that I want to share. Let me do my.
Oh, good Lord. If this is Jar Jar Binks, I'm going to be very upset.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? So this is from the one and only Dave Palace.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, Phantom Menace. God, it is... Well, okay. So I remember... I think it was I guess it was 8th grade, and it was at St. Charles Borromeo Elementary School, and I think it was because we were 8th grade, we were the top of the class, and then the school was going to take us to the movie theaters, and they're like, we're going to see Phantom Menace in movie theaters, and me and my friend Tom were like, oh yeah, we're going to see Star Wars, and we were like excited, and we wouldn't shut up about it, and we were just spouting off to like all the girls who are not listening, everything we knew so far about the Phantom Menace, about young Anakin. And then somewhere throughout the day, I guess probably because it might have been sold out, or because they didn't think that would be like well balanced maybe between the girls and boys, not sure. Never knew the answer to this. They changed it to The Rookie, which was the baseball movie with Dennis Quaid. So we went to see that. And that was enjoyable. Me and Tom, we had fun. We had 8 Reese's Pieces and we had fun to it. But
well, as long as Dave and Tom had fun.
Yeah, I don't remember much else. All right. Yeah, well, Travis, have a good episode.
That is the best review I've ever heard of Phantom Menace.
That is, yep. So thank you, Dave.
It's
Tom
not
and
The
I had
Rookie.
fun.
Why would they choose The Rookie? Like, why is that any better?
It's the only other thing in theaters that was PG-13 or less.
Yeah, but like, I don't think the guys or the girls would want to watch that movie. It's just some random baseball old guy.
I think when you've got a busload of kids and you've promised them a movie, it's like, we've got to put them in
somewhere,
some screen. So
they're not at school. They don't care.
Yeah.
Well, he can count himself lucky. I had to go see the movie Gettysburg that had an intermission because it was 3 hours long.
Oof.
It's the only time I've been to a movie theater that had an intermission for a movie. Anyhow, wow. Perfect review. Star Wars Phantom Menace.
That's right.
It's not The Rookie.
So let's jump into the opening crawl and start there, obviously.
Yeah. Let's talk about some taxes, huh?
Yeah, man. Trade routes. Watching it, obviously this is the first time I've ever watched the movie and taken notes for it. So I was, definitely like paying attention a lot more than I have the last several times I've watched this movie. And this time around, it was like, yeah, this is a boring opening crawl, but I kind of like when you're hearing about the taxation of trade routes and stuff. I think there's so little of that in the actual movie because, there's enough other stuff going on that I think it's fine to start the movie out here with, this is what brings Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon to this ship or whatever to planet, do these negotiations. So I'm okay with it starting out with a very mellow starting point.
It sets up the blockade.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, why is there a blockade?
Blockade.
Yeah. I'm trying to avoid that.
Okay.
Blockade.
I also kind of dig that it's such a minor thing that starts off this whole, this whole saga. Honestly, starts out here because the Emperor, Palpatine, is controlling all this, and it's such a seemingly small thing that is the downfall of the Republic and the Jedi. And I love that it's this seemingly minor thing, this trade route negotiation thing that is what brings the Jedi down. So I like thinking about that now.
Our country was kind of founded on that. How dare you minimalize the American Revolution, Travis?
Oh, yeah.
We also brought down an empire.
All because of taxation and
that's right.
Trade of goods.
This is where I get my American history.
Yeah. A minor thing. How dare you, sir?
Well,
this was just setting up a generation of kids to become anti-capitalist.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Meanwhile, selling millions in toys and other merchandise.
Yeah, exactly.
An oxymoron of sorts.
Yay, capitalism.
Well, that's how he got the capitalists to distribute it for him.
Right.
Yeah. Man.
It was a long game.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite parts of the movie, though.
Okay.
Definitely a hero sequence.
Okay.
With the lightsabers being unleashed for the first time.
Oh, I thought you meant the part where there was no dialogue.
Oh, no.
I thought you meant the crawl because no one was talking.
No, yeah. No, I just thought it was a good intro of the two Jedi that we've never met until you find out that's Obi-Wan.
Sure.
But that's one of 4 parts I remembered from the movie.
Okay.
Is the lightsabers and the poison mist.
A little fun fact about that poison mist thing that I learned on Star Wars Minute is when it's that close up of just that poison gas coming out of the vents, that's the one and only scene in this movie that doesn't have special effects.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah. So
well, now that I think about it, yeah, because everything is just so CG. Yeah,
it's just a wall with green gas.
Yeah, because there is so much behind the scenes, footage, DVD specials, Disney Plus specials or whatever. There's so much practical stuff that they did here. All the model making that they did, the ships and this Trade Federation battleship thing. It's all real miniatures and stuff, and it looks so good. All the hallways that they build for this stuff, I think, look really good. I love all the ship designs and seeing how much work they put into still using practical pieces for this.
Yeah, I think it just gets distracting with all the CG that's accompanying everything.
I think if everything wasn't so smooth, it wouldn't be so jarring because the ship designs are beautiful.
Yeah.
They make beautiful planets.
Mm-hmm.
But they were working so hard to get all the pixelated lines and things out of all of their CG that then it looks flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because it was at the beginning of that technology, now we know, you have to add some imperfections in there because that's reality. Otherwise, you just get this very flat effect.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they were pioneering.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in Star Wars, it's all about kind of jankiness.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the rundown.
Yeah, but
I know it's the cleaner version right now.
It's the height of the Republic, and so things are still nice. But I'll never forget seeing the when Qui-Gon goes at that door with his lightsaber, and just how awesome that sequence is, because I've never seen a lightsaber be used for something like that. When the door starts, heating up and these molten pieces fall away, it's just so awesome.
It just made me think. I'm surprised that there's not more like Jedi that are accidentally missing parts of their body, because that thing is like so not forgiving. And Padawans are learning. I don't know if they don't get a. Well, he had a lightsaber, so I guess
they get like training lightsabers.
Yeah, younglings get sticks.
Yeah, but I don't know. That weapon seems like a double-edged sword, literally. In the case of Darth Maul, I guess. I totally like the way that they use the lightsaber. I didn't quite dig the force push stuff sometimes.
Okay.
It seemed off on certain aspects where like they do a movement that didn't make sense to the action that happened after it. I think it was Obi-Wan who like did like a backwards like sword thrust, and then it also force pushed him. And I don't know. There's weird.
I think you're talking about what he deflects like a laser bolt.
Yeah.
But it does look like a weird angle that he's able to hit it. But
maybe that's what it was. It was a force or deflection. I don't know. It got confusing a lot during the battle with all the deflections.
Yeah, they definitely like showed us new things with this, like speed running, and later on,
I totally forgot
force jumping that. And
the speed running was so hilarious.
It's one of those things where it's like, should you have shown us the speed running? Because then at the end of the movie, it's like, Obi-Wan, where's your speed running to catch up to your like
his speed run meter still hadn't fully recharged by then.
Oh, okay. It's been like a week, but
it was very cartoony. Like I forgot how like I was expecting like a cloud of dust and like some kind of wacky sound effect. I totally forgot that was a thing. I wrote down like what was it, Roadrunner move on my notes.
Nice.
Vicious edit number 1.
When we see the we see the battle droids, and then later on the destroyer droids that roll in and unfold, and I think the creativity of them coming up with all new robots and aliens and everything for this movie. I mean, obviously George Lucas was creative as hell with the original stuff, but I like with this, it's something we've never seen before with all the droid stuff. And I think the destroyer droids that unfold, I think are meant to be based on like some kind of insect that is native to those Nemoidian, like to their home planet. So that's why it's like to them, they would design a droid that looks like some kind of scorpion insect kind of thing, and so it's not just it's less human.
I called it the roly-poly robot, so I like that one though.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite droid designs.
It was made to be a Happy Meal toy. It's like perfect for being a Happy Meal toy.
So much of this stuff was. But I don't have a problem with that.
That's not a dig. It's just it reminds me of like the Transformers Happy Meal toys that would like it would be like a burger and it would pop out into like a robot.
I like those are the droids or robots that I liked. The standard issued ones,
the B1 battle droids,
could not if you say so. Yes. Could not stand those guys.
Oh really? I love those.
I was like, why do they even talk? You guys are all on the same network. You can just telepathically.
Right.
You don't have to Three Stooges this whole freaking movie.
It's so that I can still to this day have someone that works for me. When someone asks for him on the radio, he'll say, Roger, Roger. I love it.
No.
This is like a man in his 60s. And he will say, Roger, Roger on the radio. And I die every time.
Yeah. Those guys were so dumb. I think I hated them now more than I hated Jar Jar, honestly.
Do you hate fun?
He does.
That is not fun to me. It was like, I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Short Circuit, But there's a section of that movie where he reprograms the robots into basically the Three Stooges.
Oh.
And they're just buffoons for like a solid 3 minutes. Lucas took that and moved it into a 2-hour movie with these moronic...
Not 3 minutes at a time.
They're supposed to be military robots. These are the most...
inept. It's
if you can't have fun at your job, Patrick, what are we doing here?
I am just picturing Palpatine reviewing the use of these things and just being furious. Because
that's kind of the point, is he accomplishes all of this with such inept support, because that's all he can get, because he can't be more out in the open about what he's trying to do. So he has to use whatever lackeys and stooges he can get.
And he learns that battle droids suck, and that a clone army would be more efficient and would be better.
I think that's what threw me off, is just like, you had the clones, the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Granted, they're all cross-eyed, but they're scary. These guys are buffoonery robots that are there to like throw like wisecracking one-liners, and I was just not. I forgot how stupid it was. Like, I was over it after the first scene with them.
Gotcha.
Oh, golly. I guess I'm gonna be Johnny Buzzkill today. I just could not handle it.
Yeah. The stuff that I can't stand with this movie is the, how often we just get bad expositional dialogue, and most of it comes from the Nemoidians and a few other characters throughout the movie, mostly the supporting, like the Queen's, people and
her handmaidens, or her
handmaidens, some of her staff. But with like the Nemoidians saying, "Oh, it's Queen Amidala herself," it's like, okay, well, thank you for letting us know who this is. It's just very like obvious. And but what about Natalie Portman as Queen Amidala?
As like an 8th or 9th grade girl, I was like, just like girl power, because we were it was at the tail end of the Spice Girls, and like, I almost feel like the flatness, like the flat, emotionless delivery of her lines at the time for me was like, yeah, girls can be robotic and cardboardy too.
Well, I like that's the public face that she puts on,
which we learn later. Like, the novels go into explaining that that's like her courtly,
right?
Her like the voice of the queen.
Yeah, I didn't like her until she was invading the throne room. That whole section. Like, I didn't like her until she started the action hero section. Like, her and Anakin totally weirded me out the whole time. And I thought it was just a little too, like, I don't know, sappy kind of feeling.
Sure.
I kind of dug, the cold queen aspect more, and her action hero phase of the movie a lot more.
So I'm kind of the opposite. I really like when Padme shows up and goes on the journey with like Qui-Gon and Jar Jar, and I agree that once it's Padme and Anakin, that's obviously like George Lucas dialogue, not at its best, and it's just
well, that's like 70% of it. When like I like her in Qui-Gon. Although they kind of ham it up a bit with the whole "you don't know I'm the queen." But
I feel like that she stands up to Qui-Gon though. She doesn't just accept what he says. And also just the costumes for me it covers a myriad of sins.
They're over the top, so many costumes in this movie for her, and
like her fire robes as the handmaiden.
Those
are cool.
I think she has better outfits in Attack of the Clones. I think some of these are just so big and ornate that I don't know, they're distracting.
They're very Queen Elizabeth, like that halo kind of like circle thing behind her when she's the queen. It makes me think of like the giant collars that Queen Elizabeth would have, like, not the one that recently passed away, but Elizabethan.
Sure.
Queen Elizabeth.
Kate Blanchett, Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, there you go. It gave me those vibes. Yeah, I was surprised at how many costume changes she had.
Yeah.
As the Queen, like when she actually made it to the Coruscant.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, you just changed again.
Right.
You just escaped a warring planet. How did you? I know they mentioned, I think,
her
wardrobe was on board. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Sorry. I get easily distracted, and that's the nature of this movie. There's so much crap going on that I constantly found myself looking around and not paying attention to like what they were saying.
Well, speaking of crap, let's talk about Jar Jar Binks. No, I don't dislike Jar Jar Binks. He was definitely annoying, the first the first time I saw this, and then the many times I revisited this, it was like, okay, Jar Jar's annoying. But then I think I was listening to a podcast called Full of Sith, and one of the hosts of that show is named Bryan Young, and he put it in a way that I don't think I'd ever considered before about it's kind of this speech that he has called Jar Jar Binks is the key to everything. I'll post it in the show notes. People can listen to his whole rant on Jar Jar. But once I heard it, it was like, this makes a lot of sense. And that if you think about Star Wars as being pretend that this came before Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi and all that. If you think about this as being the first Star Wars, then you have Qui-Gon meeting Jar Jar and taking him along and showing him compassion, like seeing this, quote unquote lower life form and taking compassion on that character and taking him along with him on the journey. It causes them to be saved by Anakin, because without Jar Jar's, goofing around, they wouldn't get into a situation where they needed Anakin's help with like Sebulba and everything. And then like Jar Jar and the Gungans, they save the mission later on Naboo. Like without that army, they're not going to win this, fight. Later on, like Palpatine will learn how he can use Jar Jar. He can manipulate him, and that begets, the clone army and all that stuff. But my favorite aspect of it is the fact that, again, if you think about this in a linear way, Qui-Gon learning, or not learning, but Qui-Gon showing that compassion to someone like Jar Jar, and then communicating with Yoda after all the prequel stuff. And, once Qui-Gon appears to Yoda as a Force ghost, which was the first time, that had ever happened. That is what Yoda then uses that on Dagobah when he meets Luke, and he appears to Luke as this silly, ridiculous little creature to test Luke, which Luke fails because he's like, I'm here to meet a Jedi Master, not a goofy little frog, And so continuing into like the Return of the Jedi stuff, Luke now has learned that lesson and looks at the Ewoks and says, let's go with them for a while. Yes, we could, we're held captive by these Ewoks, but let's let this play out. And then that works out to their benefit. And that's what helps bring down the Empire in Return of the Jedi, using accepting the Ewoks' help. So it's like, that's what I like about Jar Jar now. So.
Yeah, much like George Lucas, I think you're trying too hard to make this work. That's
I mean, it's all there. It's like when they made this movie and these prequels, that was definitely, I think, in George Lucas's mind. Like, I need a character who seems ridiculous, but has a purpose. And I do believe that that's part of what this character, is meant to be. So,
because I didn't think the Gungans were like a lesser group. I thought they were just, the underwater group. They seem pretty formidable.
This one's just a bit dim.
Yeah, this one is like been dropped, or I don't know what happened with him. I'm still not clear why he was punished and abandoned because I can't understand him half the time.
Oh, he broke a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he was klutzy, but I thought he like did something specific and I couldn't figure it out.
Star Wars Minute laid it out, and I forget if it's in the novelizations or what, but it's something to do with like on the day of like, it might be Boss Nass's birthday or some sort of celebration. He ended up flooding the kitchen or something. And
oh my God.
I mean, it was something, goofy and some sort of accident, but yeah.
Okay. I thought it was way worse. I thought he like did something that like jeopardized the society or something.
Oh
no, they're petty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Okay.
But
I'm sorry I asked.
I remember in the special features from the original DVD, them talking about the technical difficulties of creating Jar Jar.
Mm-hmm.
This being that was, he had skin that was kind of leathery, but then he was going to wear a leather jerkin, and the technical challenges of differentiating between the two in the animation. And so that's what I always think about when Jar Jar's on screen, and it helps. And then when he becomes and then when he becomes the sad clown in the Aftermath novels, that's that gives me some compassion for Jar Jar.
It's just mean what they
poor sad clown Jar Jar.
It's amazing how he's performed, though. I mean, Ahmed Best is really good at performing that character, and it was a raw deal. I mean, he got blamed for Jar Jar, for playing.
Yeah, he didn't write the character.
Yeah, no, yeah, he did a good job with what he had. It was just an awful character. Like, I don't know. He was like a mix of Mr. Magoo.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like kind of Yoda speech where it's like kind of mixed around a bit.
Yeah.
But 10 times more annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that was the problem. I was already a jaded 17, 18-year-old. But still, I don't know. It was just, this movie was a lot. It was just, it felt like they were trying too many things. Like there were so many different characters, so many unfortunate dialects and voice work.
Yeah.
Like it's just, there was so much going, especially once we get into the pod race area, and it's just like all these. There was that one dude that kind of looked like a yellow California raisin.
Yep, Ben Quadraneros.
Ben Quadraneros.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll get to it, but yeah, this movie was just a lot. That's how I sum it up. It was just overload.
It's hard to have a movie that's both about the taxation of trade routes and Jar Jar Binks.
That's right.
Plus pod racing schemes, plus overthrowing a government, plus like there's so much going on. There's like a Sith part to this that's like in the back. Like there's just
the Sith are reborn.
Yeah. Too much was bitten off here, I think, is the gist of it.
I definitely think, like, as I rewatched it, there are big chunks of it I could deal without. I think meeting Boss Nass. I mean, as much as I like them going underwater and seeing that underwater city, because I think that all looks really cool, but I think that sequence,
it looks awesome.
We could lose that because we don't necessarily need Qui-Gon going to this underwater city and essentially being turned away. So it's like we don't really accomplish anything, but then we get a ship. But I think if they just when Qui-Gon meets Jar Jar, like what if Jar Jar just had a ship, and we could just
go by the city, you still get to see how cool it is, and then that's how they see, and we see it because we see the Gungan army training.
Yeah.
Because we need to know that they have an army.
Yeah. I'd rather meet Boss Nass for the first time later on in the movie when the Queen has to go to him. I think that would just be, better. But
I think I could have used less of it too, because it blew my mind at how big those fish creatures were.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how have they not just swallowed the Gungan city?
Why did we need there's always a bigger fish twice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of that where it's like, I swear to God, I skipped over like all the flying sequences. Like they have a lot of flying sequences that like take up at least 7 minutes of this movie total. Like it feels.
Well, yeah, like there's the thing where the prequels is just a bunch of ships landing and taking off.
Yeah, I was like, what are we doing here? It's like you went back in time and started showing how somebody got from A to B all of a sudden. It's
honestly, that's probably them just marveling at their own.
Yeah.
Like,
that
look at how
now
we can do this. Yeah. So I do love like Naboo as a planet.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the we see the capital city of Theed, and I love that it's a planet that has other
multiple ecosystems.
There you go. Yeah,
biospheres.
It's got forests, it's got plains, it's got water, it's got cities. I dig that. I dig Naboo as a location. But let's see. So I like getting. Go ahead.
Is Palpatine from Naboo?
Yes.
Or is he...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a senator from Naboo.
Fun fact, his Nubian, like his silver ship, like the one the Queen travels in, will later become Captain Phasma's armor.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh. Hey, I know who that is. It's the lady from whatchamacallit? Not Lord
Brienne
of the Rings. Game of Thrones. There it is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I love that there's an aesthetic when it comes to Naboo ships. I love all the chrome, and then like the Queen ship in the next movie is also all chromed out, but it looks different, but it still has that same style. And then even in Revenge of the Sith, she has a all chromed out ship as well. So I like it's just like that's just part of the Naboobian, aesthetic.
They've got giant chrome quarries.
Yep.
Is it Naboobian?
I don't know if that's technically that's how I like to say it.
Please tell me it is.
I think it might be a Star Wars Minute thing because that's what I call it.
That
too.
might be what it
Naboobian.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me think of
because saying Nubian doesn't seem right.
It doesn't seem like it comes from Naboo.
Yeah.
Naboobian. That is the best thing ever. Oh, that's very Spaceballs. Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ship made me think of like T2 and Silver Surfer kind of.
Sure. Yeah.
Like that effect, that super chromed out look.
Yeah. What about, let's see, they, rescue is this where they...
Well, they go to the core and then
rescue
the Queen.
Right. Rescue the Queen, get her off the planet.
Get her wardrobe.
It's a good chance for Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan to be badasses. But and we meet R2. He's revealed for the first time. I like that they include R2 in this. He's part of this story going back as far as this. So, how does that play for you guys?
I forgot about. I thought Anakin created R2D2 instead of C3PO because they were connected more, like in the story. So I swapped the androids that he created. So that I forgot about.
R2's the GOAT. So yeah, anytime you can have him in there, I'm into it.
Right on.
Yeah, he seems like what's the word? Almost like a grizzled veteran.
Yeah.
That's there to guide Anakin a little bit. He's like the old cop on the force showing him the ways and doesn't always follow the rules.
Yeah.
And then you got C3PO, who's eventually going to become his bumbling, straight-laced sidekick. They're kind of like the odd couple in a way.
Yeah. I like that we meet R2, like he's just doing his job and he's really good at his job.
But really lucky.
Yeah.
Isn't he like part force story tied to him? Like he's like a android with like the force power or something like that. I thought I heard some weird theory that R2D2 had some
it's R5D4 is connected to the force and blows its actuator so that R2D2 can be picked by Luke.
Yeah.
Okay. I got my R's mixed up. Sorry, guys.
Trying out Nerda.
Well, I was close. That was a nerd adjacent.
Yeah. I don't care I know it's just an exposition scene, but I don't care for them like, and this is R2D2. This little droid saved the ship and he deserves our gratitude. And that
was weird.
The decoy telling the Queen to
go clean it up.
that scene feels a little weird. It's like, I don't believe that, at this time, these people would be like, oh, let's have a celebration.
Yeah.
If you're going to celebrate this one, where's the funeral for the ones that died?
Right. So,
and the decoy telling the actual queen to go clean it up. I was like, listen, I've
limits.
I've suspended my disbelief a lot here. I've given you a lot.
Yeah,
it's done. We're done here. I can't anymore.
I love Qui-Gon's wisdom here of like, let's head for this planet that's controlled by gangsters, but
what could possibly go wrong?
Well, it's like he's right that the gangsters aren't looking for the queen, so it's what is it that Pippin or Mary says in Two Towers is like, the closer we are to danger, the further we are from harm, or something like that. So,
well, I figured they had to find a place that would have like ship repair abilities.
Yeah.
That, and the bad guys probably have a lot of cool stuff.
I mean, also, if they're in the Outer Rim, there's not a lot of good choices to start with.
Beats landing in the swamp. That's an old Star Wars reference. See, I can do stuff too. Dagobah?
Yeah.
Yes!
You got it.
God, I'm good.
There you go.
Look at me. See, I can be taught.
That's right.
No, too old.
Too old. Aww. Just because I'll go on a murderous rampage if you teach me how to use something like this.
Yeah. I think it's right around here where we meet Darth Maul for the first time. Because it's when Palpatine is like having his video conference with the Neimoidians, and he just walks up, behind him, and it's the character is cool from the jump, and they centered so much of the marketing around Darth Maul, and I love the character, and I think Clone Wars and Rebels really flesh out the character a lot more in a great way. But it is kind of neat that there's a character like this who is the Boba Fett of this of this movie. Anyways, it's like, oh, he looks cool, and he's gone.
Yeah, I thought he had more to do in the movie than he did.
Yeah.
I was surprised at how little he was actually, like, all his like hunting was just sending out some droids to like fly around, and like I thought there was more to it than that, but
yeah, I kind of wish he had a hands-on role in hunting, the Jedi a little bit more in this, rather than just seeing the droids pop up every now and then. But
he's the character that I think they should have taken a page from, where less is more.
Okay.
Because Lucas is not like, he needs to listen to Spielberg, his buddy, and provide a little less and not so much. Because I think nobody told Lucas no on anything.
And
that's the whole vibe of the prequels. Is nobody told him no ever.
Yeah, you can see behind the scene footage of him coming into the office and like looking at, sketches for everything, and just him, not in a mean way, but he telling everyone what he wants to see, and like, change this, take this from here, put it here. And no one could tell him no,
Yeah, because I don't think he's a great director. He's like a great idea guy.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
he needs someone else to implement his ideas.
Yeah, because him and Spielberg can do some good stuff together.
Yeah.
I think on his own, he's just a little too much.
He's very more is more.
Yeah. God, yeah. I forgot how many like weird sequences were in this movie. Anywho.
See, they land in Tatooine, and I think I don't know that I love that Obi-Wan takes a backseat to this part of the story. It's like he stays with the ship, and Qui-Gon and Padme and Jar Jar and R2 go into into Mos Espa, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of wish that we got to see a little bit more Obi-Wan in this part of the movie. It might have gone a long way to have, a better dynamic between Obi-Wan and Anakin. But I mean, there is a good reason for why Anakin and Qui-Gon become so close so quickly, and then Anakin is forced then to go with Obi-Wan instead. But we'll get there. But
well, you have to have the Qui-Gon as dad thing so that
right,
Obi-Wan can yell, "We were brothers" at the end of
right. Yeah, as a character design and everything, I love Watto. Like we meet him here, and I can't get enough Watto. But
yeah, I forgot how janky he looked after a while.
Yeah. I like when we meet him again in Attack of the Clones, and he's kind of destitute, lost everything.
He's wearing that hat.
Yes. I love it.
Tragic character.
Yes. But he's also a slave owner, so
yeah.
Hey, you know what? That's just the way of the planet, you know?
Yeah.
He's part of the system, man.
That's right.
Nah, I'm not trying to defend him. It was half-hearted.
I should probably walk that back.
So yeah, we meet Anakin, and my only problem with Jake Lloyd as Anakin is, it's all his lines feel repeated and not like he's not acting.
No, he's
character.
reading.
He's just kind of parroting like what he's been told to say, and I think with this dialogue that he has throughout a lot of this, it'd be hard for any kid actor to convincingly perform this character. So
his first line to Padme is like a pickup line at a bar.
I know, right?
Totally cracks me up. I'm like, who is this kid? Are you an angel or God?
But I've also definitely met kids like that.
Sure. Yeah, he's awkward and weird, and that's how a lot of kids are,
I've never had anyone say, "Are you an angel?" to me. Well, I guess that's more on me.
Well, you're not Natalie Portman.
I could be. Give me enough makeup and
yeah.
No, I couldn't be.
Dang it. Speaking of meeting Anakin for the first time, we also have I have a voice memo to share from frequent guest Jonathan.
What's up, asshole? They really shit on Jake Lloyd after this movie, and it's not that kid's fault. It's George Lucas's fault, 100%. Also the producer's fault. Everybody in that movie is under-directed.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks, asshole.
Yeah.
Succinct as always.
Yeah.
I mean, yes and no. It's like they could have found somebody a little bit better, knowing what. Like, did they not audition people with these lines? Like,
they auditioned so many kids.
Yeah,
and that's the best they could find.
Probably. I mean, Jake Lloyd was actually like had a career already. Mm-hmm. He's not. I think like everybody says that the direction that they were given on set was to be less emotive.
Yeah.
And
well, that changed.
It almost comes out like he was told eventually, like, I'm going to say the line to you. You say it back the way I said it, Jake, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And George is just like reading off the paper.
Okay, so that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
Yes.
Because Hayden Christensen, if I remember correctly, later on becomes very emo.
Yeah, and I think that's...
And is that a reaction to this?
But I think even that, I think, makes sense. He's a moody kid, and that he feels rejected by, so many things. I think that aspect of Anakin later works as well. So
I was just wondering if that was a reaction to like the emotionless, like
could be.
Yeah.
I think all of it was trying to humanize
mm-hmm.
Anakin. And so it's having him be like a weird, awkward kid and then like moody, angsty teen.
Yeah. Yeah. And then power hungry dictator.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't really distract me that much. There's enough going on around him that his acting really didn't bother me. It's just that one line was unfortunate.
Sure. Yeah. He gets some clunkers.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few,
but
that's the one that takes the cake.
I like when he does several times in this movie. I think the stuff that Jake Lloyd does really well is like when he's later on when he's slighted by Sebulba, or when he gets taken to the Jedi and they're like, no, you're not going to be a Jedi, and he glares at Mace Windu. It's like he's good at like the nonverbal stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The pod racing says otherwise.
But that's a close up of a kid in goggles.
He's in
that's
a thing. What do you want him to do other than go?
He kept going like, "Oh boy!" Like he kept making a weird face. Like it just made me laugh every time.
Yeah, no.
There's giant fans blowing in his face.
The problem was with all that pod race, in your face acting is that.
It was just
they wanted it to be like the X-wing, seeing Luke piloting the X-wing, but you got a kid in goggles and a helmet. There's nothing he can do,
It's an open cockpit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not talking to anyone.
Like I don't blame him. I blame showing it that much.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it was a lot of like reactionary shots
for sure.
For no reason.
Like right after we meet Anakin, he ends up helping the group out, and there's a sandstorm coming, and I really wish that instead of having some old lady say, "Oh, it's storm's coming up, Annie, you better get home quick," like have Anakin be like almost like the town weatherman, where he senses the danger and starts warning people of like, hey, close up your shop because we're about to get a sandstorm, and maybe Qui-Gon or maybe Padme are like, what are you talking about, kid? It's a beautiful day. But then the old lady is like, no, he's always right about this sort of thing. And then Qui-Gon can be like, okay, there's something to this kid. Because the Qui-Gon picking up on Anakin's, force ability kind of comes out of nowhere. Other than like he'll find out that he's a pod racing, pilot, and that's I guess what clues Qui-Gon in. It's like
reflexes or something, Jedi reflexes. But I like the fact that if it wasn't for Anakin, they all would have died in the sandstorm because Qui-Gon's like, oh well, just walk back to the ship. Like how dumb are you?
I think they couldn't do what you're suggesting, Travis, because Anakin's driving motivation has always been protecting the people, like his people, not people as a whole, not society, but making sure that his people are taken care of. Yeah. And that's how he ends up, he'll do anything to protect his people.
Sure.
Doesn't matter what happens to anybody else in the long run. And that's how he turns. Yeah. So you can't have him being the one warning other people.
Well, I mean, like specifically like this old lady, not the town, but just,
yeah. I get saying, that being a good way to introduce him being force sensitive.
Or like, he's just met Padme and now he likes Padme and maybe
the first pretty lady he's ever seen.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow, you're not covered in dirt. I like you.
Yeah. When we go to Anakin's house and we meet Shmi, and Shmi is she's my favorite character, I think, in this movie. I love everything about the way Pernilla August plays this character. There's a sadness there, but there's like a lot of love there. And I don't know, everything she does on screen works 100% for me.
Yeah.
She's very human.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's the most grounded character in the entire movie. Like she's the most like, even though she is stepping in for Mary, Mother of God, which I totally forgot.
That
he's a force baby that, well, you shouldn't force yourself on a lady like that to begin with. But if you're the force, that gets complicated. So I'll let it slide this time, I guess. But I didn't understand the whole Jesus thing. I didn't realize that was going on. I must have zoned out watching it the first time or something.
Right. Do you want the backstory on that?
It's called the Bible.
I'm familiar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard of it.
So yes, Anakin is a child of the Force, basically, but it's because Palpatine was screwing around with dark magic, and he's somehow manipulated this so that somewhere out there life will have been conceived by the Force. But the thing was, he didn't know who was the product of his manipulation. So it wasn't until at the end of this movie where he meets Anakin and finds out how Force, able he is. He's like, oh, this is that kid that I willed
this is
into
my magic
existence.
Force baby.
Yeah. So then, once at
I wish you didn't tell me this.
Okay.
So oh God.
So
again,
Palpatine,
they explained way too much, like
sure.
the midichlorian thing.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell are we talking about? And I guess Palpatine created a midichlorian force cloud to make it with his mom. I don't quite get
I don't know all those details of how it worked, but
I don't know the science of it.
Yeah.
God. Well, that's what it sounds like to me. It just sounds like he unleashed like a force entity and it found its way to Shmi, and I don't know.
Not
Butter
unlike
drink.
fish spawn.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I'll just forget I ever heard any of that.
Okay.
Moving on.
We were talking about salmon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
The thing that I think is the biggest mistake in this movie, and it's kind of in this movie and the next one, it starts here with making Anakin and Shmi slaves, because it's
enslaved people.
Oh,
yes.
Is that the way to say it?
They're not slaves, they're people.
Oh,
he's got a name, Travis.
And their names are Shmi and Anakin.
Yes, thank you.
Some people.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. The problem with it is that it doesn't go anywhere. If you're gonna make them enslaved people, then you have to pay that off. He says, I'm going to come back and I'm going to free all the slaves. And then he never does. And it's like, well, you guys wrote this. You can choose to make him come back and free slaves. And I think it nothing about the way we see them live their life. Like they live in a nice house. They earn money by selling the pod racer. Like they don't live like,
they're like indentured.
Yeah.
Permanently.
Honestly, yeah. it just feels like
he's got to have a tragic backstory.
Yeah, but like I think it would be so much better if you're going to choose to make them slaves, then pay it off in the second one. Actually have him come back and free a bunch of other enslaved people, and he just isn't there in time to save his mom. And then you still get the emotional weight of that in Attack of the Clones when he's not there to save his mom. Like you can still do that, but then you can also have that like you've got this wedge that's created when Qui-Gon says, well, the Jedi can't do anything about helping, ending slavery here. It's like, that would be a great motivation for Anakin to be pissed off at the Jedi. But
he takes it the wrong way and learns that it's okay to just protect your interests.
Yeah. This whole part of his character doesn't work for me. And I think it's because they don't really go anywhere with it. I think it was literally probably just George Lucas saying, yeah, he's going to be a I don't know, leader of a revolution. But not really, because he's off planet now. And then all that motivation doesn't matter anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest problem with this.
With his character. I could talk about this more and justify it in his character, but we can also move on.
Yeah. What else? I love the dinner scene with Qui-Gon, when they're talking about being a Jedi and everything. I like how much is like that whole scene works for me. But
pod racing.
Yeah. I think so.
Somehow the gambling scheme gets them through all this. So gambling is good.
Yes.
That's what I got from this.
Yes. Yeah, there's too much gambling going on. You got like Qui-Gon and Watto gambling about the initial pod race and entering it, and then you got like gambling to free
people. Like, how is it better that Qui-Gon bets on the freedom of a person? Like,
right.
He's still treating Anakin like an object.
Yeah.
But also he cheats to make the chosen one happen. So like, if he truly believed that the chosen one, if he truly believed this was Anakin's destiny, he could have left it to destiny.
Right.
But he doesn't. He cheats.
I don't know.
I don't believe that. That's just what Tim keeps saying to me.
Okay. Because I want to say in the novelization there was something about like Watto's using weighted dice. Like he knows that he's not going to lose. And so Qui-Gon is just undoing Watto's cheating. So
it could be destiny that he does this. I mean, destiny is a nebulous thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, destiny is just not like hands off, don't do anything.
Yeah. I honestly, I didn't write down really many notes for the pod race because it is a long sequence, but it is a sequence that once it starts, I love just watching the whole thing. Like I wasn't taking notes of every lap and every, moment or anything, but I do love that it starts out with that flag ceremony and an amazing bit of music. Like I love that little sequence. And I could do without the there's a fart joke in here with I don't know, the Eope, the camel thing that farts in Jar Jar's face. Like I could do without that,
Yusa.
Oh, that was way too good.
Yeah.
I think we found our favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, when the pod race scene comes on, I leave the room and go do something else for
really.
It's not for me, man.
Okay. I like that George Lucas got to get his car fetish into this movie, because he loves this kind of stuff, and it's I like it.
I grew up being forced to watch like NASCAR races.
Okay.
Because we that's what my stepdad always had on the big TV, and I hated it.
Right.
And so I'm just it's not.
You don't like watching people drive in a circle for like 3-4 hours? Come on. I'm the odd person out here in Indianapolis that can't stand racing, and we have the Indy 500, and then I'm like, I don't want to sit in a hot place and watch people drive in a circle.
I went once. It took me 35 years to get to an Indy 500, and it was the worst experience of my life.
So that's what has tainted this portion of the movie for you. Then is just the past trauma of racing in general.
Racing's never done anything good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of dug it for a little bit, but I was like, okay, I'm good now.
Yeah.
I could have done with one less sniper shot from the
Tusken
guy. Yeah, Tusken Raiders. But I thought there was more variety, honestly. I could have sworn there was a part where like they collapse part of the track with like boulders, but maybe I'm confusing that with the video game, or I don't know.
I think like an arch comes down or something.
Yeah, that's what but I don't remember seeing that unless I zoned it out.
I think maybe they took it out of this version on Disney Plus. I'm telling you, they just tinker with these movies constantly.
Do you remember any of that, Travis?
No.
Okay.
I know when they go through some of like the cavern portions, like some, there's some explosions and stuff. Yeah,
could be confusing with Mad Max Fury Road, perhaps.
I've never seen Mad Max, and I
don't know.
Okay. Mandela effect, I guess. Okay. Yeah. Or maybe there's another version out there that I've seen.
Yeah.
That is very possible. Yeah, I was like, I did enjoy it. I thought it was way too easy to cheat in this race. Like those engines are just very exposed.
Yeah.
And I did write down.
Go ahead.
I did write down in the flag ceremony that C-3PO would have been seized up in an instant in the sand.
Yeah.
Because he's got no skin or protection to his gears and inner workings. I was like, that's poor design, Anakin. You got to cover him up. I mean, granted, keeps him from, well, no, it wouldn't keep him from overheating because he's out in the desert. So, no, that's awful.
He just hasn't had time to finish him yet.
That's right. Yeah. He'll get to it. Oh, sorry, 3PO. I'm leaving town.
I know. I forgot about like how he just abandons him. Like,
sorry, 3PO. I can't take you.
Yeah.
I'll tell Mom not to sell you. Peace out.
Sell me. Yeah. I kind of like that 3PO is a construct of Anakin's. Like, it's a fun way to include him in this movie.
And it's for his mom, right? Like
just an around the house kind of droid. Yeah.
Oh, I thought she was like some kind of diplomat slave or something and needed to know all these languages.
Oh.
Like I thought it was to help her in her slave job, whatever that was.
Oh, I think this is just the like most intact throwaway droid he could find. The language is the sort of just a side thing.
I thought he did the language part to help his mom.
Oh, I think the language,
he was...
etiquette and protocol comes later for 3PO. Once he becomes, he
gets an upgraded chip installed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
because he understood like everybody, so I thought he had the language thing down. And I thought he was to help the mom with like the different languages around. That was my mistake.
Well, maybe she does work at like the local interpreter's office or something, because I don't think she works in Watto's shop.
Because there's a lot of different species on this world.
Sure.
So I thought maybe she did something with like the landing port or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe not. How did you guys like the whole numb lip Jar Jar sequence?
It was for kids. I ignore it.
The thing that drives me nuts about that is everyone else like not paying attention to like, we're about to
pretending they're me.
Well, like we're about to fire up this engine for the first time. Let's not make sure that no one is in front of the engine.
Terrible safety.
Yeah. Like Qui-Gon should have.
Well, he pulls the kid away, like Anakin's random friend.
Right.
Kitster.
But he doesn't care what's happening on the other end of the
where the engines are.
Yeah.
Where things get sucked into the engines.
Yeah.
Where the Queen and Jar Jar are.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a handmaiden to him at this point. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I did enjoy her extensions. They were magnificent.
All the hair and costumes.
Like for a handmaiden, that's pretty tight hairdo.
The one thing they don't, well, I'm not going to say don't get wrong, but the hair and makeup and costumes in this movie are impeccable.
I think Tatooine Padme has too much hair.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I don't believe that all of this hair could get put in some of the later fashion choices, and like at the end when it's like she's part of the battle and stuff. All of this hair gets put up into a bun.
This isn't her hair either. This is an extension look.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Clipped in.
Yeah, it's clip-in so that they all can have the same hair, but they all can change their looks. So the handmaidens are trained to be like a battle, like a SWAT team almost.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not just to be decoys, but they're also trained in like combat and spy
stuff. Okay.
So it's like Jennifer Garner and Alias. It's all wigs.
Okay. No, okay. That makes a lot of sense, because I'm just, when I see hair on screen, I believe it's the characters, like I get it. It's the actors wearing a wig, but I never once would consider that the character is wearing, a wig or some kind of trickery.
My favorite thing to do with 4K is to look for guys that have toupees or hair pieces.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite things to do with 4K now.
I think that's why it was invented. Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, that's a toupee. Nice one.
Yeah.
Sean Connery's the master, obviously, but you got some good ones there from other actors as well. Nicolas Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Anywho, I got sidetracked. Darth Maul shows up with his little robot buddies.
Yeah.
I do love that he just takes out binoculars and goes, "Nope, don't see him. All right, you guys go and find him."
Didn't land right by him.
That's how it comes off. He's just looking around. Oh, that was like a 180 move on my part. I'm done here. You guys go find him.
It's hot. You guys
My neck is stiff.
Have you seen how much black
robes.
I'm wearing?
Yeah.
No, this is not it for me, dog.
Even though I look like I'm from hell, the heat really just doesn't agree with me.
I'm from Dathomir. We have seasons there.
Yeah.
But I think I just wrote down lazy attempt on Darth Maul's part to find them.
You know what? I can get behind that delegation, baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Strong management.
I think he might stand out if he went to.
Are you kidding me? Have you seen the other people in this town?
Just put a helmet on it. Put a fish tank on his head. Nobody will ever know.
There's literally like a different character every 5 feet. Like there's so much variety in this place.
Yeah.
You had the California raisin guy. You have
got Nikto.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Good old Nick Toe.
Yeah.
Looks like a toe, I assume.
No, that's a species, not a person.
Oh, okay.
You fool. God,
Lando's not a system, he's a man.
You're embarrassing me.
Wouldn't be a Star Wars episode if I didn't.
Yeah. Qui-Gon wins himself a slave.
Well, he doesn't win he
does
wins
he
the
not?
right to bet to win a slave.
Okay. So
he's playing within the system. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be neutral, right? As a Jedi.
Sure.
But not really.
Yeah.
He's insufferable is what he is.
Mm.
Yeah.
But he's one of my favorites. I love Qui-Gon.
He's the most
he's the Jedi hippie,
Yeah.
He's all about the living force, and all the other Jedi are like, this guy's a bit, he's out there. Like he believes in some weird things, but
I feel like he uses the force to further his own agenda. Like he kind of manipulates, it means this to make his plan work. And
well, I mean, he believes in a kind of a different aspect of the force. Like he puts more importance on that side of the force, the living force. So
the kombucha force.
Yeah. He's all natural and but yeah, I love what Shmi and Anakin, and when they say their goodbyes, I love all that stuff. It's one of my favorite things in this movie is kind of him, her telling him, don't look back, like, leave this place and forget about me, basically.
We get a little tease with Darth Maul.
Yeah.
In the fight sequence.
Oh yeah, just a amuse bouche of Jedi versus Sith.
Luckily, he can escape by just jumping away.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little too easy of an escape, honestly.
I like that they walk into the front of the ship and they're like, Qui-Gon's in trouble. We got to get out of here. They're just like, let's go.
Yeah.
What if he been like, no, he's creating a diversion so we can get away.
Yeah,
hi, Qui-Gon.
Leave him. Thanks, Qui-Gon.
Yeah, I think I wrote down half-assed escape because it was just like, really, that's it? Like, let's just fly by real low and let him jump in.
Right.
And Darth Maul couldn't have done anything. Just
he was so hot. Do you know how sweaty he was?
His robes weighed about 100 pounds of sweat, and
his droids do not provide propulsion for him.
No.
Can't you use force air conditioning or something to
he hasn't learned that
the air
yet.
around?
No,
here?
that comes later.
That seems like a dark power.
No, you can't have it because you can't be comfortable as a Sith. Otherwise, you can't channel all your rage.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if this is the time to get into it.
Probably.
They're taking Anakin with them. They're going to Coruscant, hanging out with the Council and the Senate. Qui-Gon thinks he's part because he did a blood test, and the father is the Force, and
on his chic lady razor.
Yes.
Yeah. And not very hippy dippy of him to just take a kid's blood like that, but anyway. He says that he's the chosen one and he's going to set balance in the Force.
Right.
What does that even mean? Because they also say there's only 2 Sith ever, which doesn't seem very balanced against what the Jedi have.
It is the Jedi. They're blinded by their own ignorance because yes, they believe or they know that there's this prophecy of the one who will bring balance to the Force, but they're so arrogant that they don't understand that means a lot of Jedi need to die for there to be balance to the Force. You know?
Okay.
So yeah, that is just pure Jedi foolishness and hubris.
I get that, but then Yoda, he should know.
Yeah, they've been at the top for so long. The Jedi have been in power so long that they've just become. It's even said. I forget when
it makes zero sense to me.
Right.
It's like you think the Sith are annihilated a millennia ago,
right?
So balancing the Force, which to me means light and dark, means either bringing up the Sith, or decimating the Jedi.
Right.
Either way, it's not going to be a good thing that this kid's around from a Jedi point of view.
Yeah, right. No, I hate prophecy nonsense, the chosen one, any movie or story that it starts including chosen one and prophecy stuff, I get turned off by. Like it doesn't feel like it belongs in the story, so yeah.
Do it again with Luke. Like, he's supposed to be bringing balance to the Force again, but isn't it already balanced with, like, when he's there?
Depends on how you look at it, because in my mind, Anakin does bring balance to the Force, because at the end, let's see, in theory, A New Hope starts with there's Vader and the Emperor, and then there's Obi-Wan and Yoda. So it's like there's 2 and 2. So it is balanced,
Yeah. Like, maybe it's not numbers, but like control in the universe, kind of.
Yeah.
Like the Sith have way more control later on. Right now, the Jedi have more control. So basically, Luke and Anakin just cancel each other out for the most part. And there's no hope of balancing anything.
Right. Yeah. All the balance stuff, I think it's doesn't really work. I don't know, but
yeah, it ebbs and flows. There is no balance.
Yeah, you can't have balance without suffering. And if that's what the Jedi say they want, then they have to say that it's okay for people to suffer. Well, then how does that fit in with their Jedi morals?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think I took it way too seriously, but it just threw me off when they started talking about it so much. I'm like, okay, I know a little bit, and none of this makes sense, so I'll just shut up now.
Yeah, none of it makes sense.
Okay. So, yeah, we're going to the city planet that seems thoroughly depressing because there's not a single tree or anything. It's
there's
just
one tree.
There's a tree. Yeah.
Is there? Okay.
You got to watch. Is it? I don't. When do we see a tree? I forget.
Oh, I think it might be an Andor.
Andor. Okay. Well, I know that the Jedi Temple has a tree outside. We see that in Clone Wars, like in the finale, I think, when.
In the last season.
Yeah. There's a tree there.
And does that tree have a name?
I'm sure it's a sacred,
Carl.
Carl. I just assumed every weird thing in the Star Wars universe had a name, so
yeah.
And it's not really a tree; it's an actual being that lives.
Probably it's a Jedi.
Because I was gonna say, there's actually, like, in one of the novels, there's one tree that actually grows from the Coruscant ground.
Yeah,
it, like, actually grows up through the city. So the Jedi tree is planted on the Jedi Temple soil. There's one tree that grows out of the planet.
See, I try to ridicule the Star Wars fans, and they just feed into it.
We have no shame.
Yeah.
That tree is more powerful than Yoda.
Yeah. I like the concept of Coruscant, but I wish they would have saved the we see it earlier when Maul and Sidious are, like, on a balcony, talking about having, revenge. I wish they would have saved any Coruscant stuff until this moment when they arrive, because you get a nice big fanfare of music. It's a nice, like, revealing kind of sequence that I think is slightly spoiled with the Maul and Sidious.
So this is part 2 of the movie to me.
Okay.
Is once we get here, because part 1 was getting Anakin and joining the gang, and now if this was made today, this would be the part 2 Phantom Menace.
Sure.
Because they're very different stories here going on.
Yeah, and there's a lot here I could do without. Because it feels like we're all over the place here. We got to meet the Chancellor. We got to meet Palpatine. We go to the Senate building. We go to Padme's, or the Queen's, kind of, I don't know, wherever she's staying while they're here. We go to the Jedi Temple. We're kind of all over the place, and then ultimately it's like, oh, we're going back to Naboo. So
yeah, they're here for like a hot second. So just like it was. I forgot how weird this intermission piece was with.
It's almost like an interlude.
Yeah. It's ultimately like they want to go to the Senate to plead to get the Neimoidian, the Trade Federation, kicked out of what they're doing, and then they start saying, well, there's no proof. It's like, then have Qui-Gon come before this council and say, I witnessed a Trade Federation army invade the city, and like, does that not have any weight to it? Like,
oh yeah, that's what threw me off, was like, prove it then.
Yeah, like, okay, easy.
Don't they have the recording of that one diplomat saying, help, they're killing us all, or whatever?
Yeah, C.O. Bibbles saying, they've killed all of our people.
Yeah, C.V. Bibbles, or whatever his name is.
Shrimply Pibbles.
Of course he's got a name. God damn.
Yeah. Everything is named in this franchise, Patrick.
All right. That is what I was hoping you'd say, because there is my favorite Jedi.
Okay.
Who stands, or sits, I should say, behind Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yes.
Okay. He looks like a
know.
dandelion that's gotten the fuzz blown off of it.
Okay.
So he's got this little head and really skinny neck, and he kind of goes like this the whole time.
Yep.
And I really hope he has a name, and maybe
of course
dandelion.
He does.
Okay.
Oh God, I can't remember though.
I keep wanting to
the nerds.
Yeah, I keep wanting to say Plo Koon, but Plo Koon's a completely
It's not Ki-Adi-Mundi. It's
Jarl Poof.
Jarl Poof.
Oh, it is so close to the dandelion poof thing.
Yes.
Awesome. He or she, whatever, non-binary, I don't know.
It's a person, and his name is Jarl Poof.
Yes. I was mesmerized the whole time that
Qui-Gon was in the background. He's just doing this little head, sway. Yeah.
No, I wrote down, dude is grooving to some earbuds. He's not even paying attention.
Yeah.
He's just listening to a podcast maybe, or listening to some rockin' tunes. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Poofman, I'll call him. Okay. The dude was awesome.
Yeah. Watching it this time, I was like, I guess I never thought about it, but Mace Windu sucks. Like, I think he's probably my most disliked Jedi. Like, just the way he dismisses everything that Qui-Gon says about, Anakin, and like whether or not to train him, and it's like, oh, it couldn't be a Sith, and then Ki-Adi-Mundi says, oh, they've been gone for a millennium. It's impossible. It's like, none of them are really that great, but those few especially are really, really bug me. But
yeah, because it seems like they're all closed off to each other. Otherwise, they'd know how full of shit they all were.
Well, and you see this in the next movie. There's a moment with Mace Windu and Yoda, and they talk to each other, and they're like, "Man, if anyone else finds out that we've lost our ability to what is it? It says something about
the future, or
they don't know what is coming
going on
at them, and they're like, yeah, if anyone finds out, we're screwed. So
they could sense the Sith in the past, but can't anymore.
Right.
Okay, I thought the Sith were just really good at hiding.
Well, and Palpatine is such a master at his craft that he has learned, how to manipulate everything so that he can't be detected by the Jedi anymore. So I'm going to play this another bit audio submission someone sent in. So this is from previous guest Eric Slater, and just his thoughts on Phantom Menace as a whole.
Hey guys, this is Eric Slater from Epic Fails of History, Podcasters Assemble, and the Super Switch Club. First of all, congrats on making it to 1999. I'm consistently impressed with Travis's commitment to covering every comic book movie in chronological order, and I'm excited for Real Comic Heroes to finally get into the modern era of comic book movies. I don't have a ton of nostalgia for the Phantom Menace itself, but I do have a lot of nostalgia for the marketing leading up to this movie. Between the trailers that took all day to download on QuickTime Video with the blazing speeds of dial-up internet, to the Taco Bell and Pizza Hut tie-ins, not to mention the books, the pogs, and the action figures. So many action figures. The late 90s were an interesting time to be a Star Wars fan. After the special editions in 97, the thought of more Star Wars movies was mind-blowing. Of course, the movie itself wasn't great, but I suppose I was kind of too young to realize just how bad it was at the time. While it does have its redeeming qualities, and I gotta give props to all the geniuses over at ILM for all the hard work they put in, choices were made. That said, it was all worth it for the entire Duel of the Fates sequence, with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon versus Darth Maul. with some of the best lightsaber choreography we've ever seen. And that John Williams music slaps. Enough said.
That John Williams music does slap.
It does indeed. I remember when they released the Duel of the Fates like as a music video on MTV, as I heard it on the radio. Like, it seems so bizarre now to have a score, at least a track from the score be released as on radio and like MTV, but that was how big the anticipation for all this was. So
the 90s was a weird time. Like, remember when Gregorian chants were big?
Yes.
Like, you could do anything in the 90s.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite one.
Yeah. I love that despite the Jedi Council saying, no, he's too old, chosen one or not, we're not going to train him. I like that there's at least a loophole where Qui-Gon can take him as his apprentice and train him, regardless of them, I guess, saying that as a whole, he won't be trained, I guess, with the young. I don't know how all that works. I guess
other younglings.
Yeah, I don't know. So
see, I didn't feel like they were actually giving him even leave to do that. I think they were like, yeah, you need to finish this mission. We're not babysitting this kid for you. You can keep him, but when you get back from this, you're gonna have to figure out he can't live here. Like, this dog is not living in this house, and then it ends up sleeping in the bed. But like, I didn't think they actually gave. I don't think he was like, hey, I'm not allowed to train you, but you can like watch what I do.
Yeah.
And then he uses his death to be like, you guys have to feel sorry for Obi-Wan now, right? Like, you're gonna let him train him.
Well played.
Yeah.
I kind of respect it. I know he's insufferable, but I respect the hustle.
Yeah. I like that once they go back to Naboo, that there's, at first I thought it was a 3-part battle, like in Return of the Jedi, but it's actually like a 4-part, because it's like you have the Gungans versus the droids on the plains of Naboo, and then you get the Queen and all of her soldiers or whatever taking on, trying to take back the palace, and then you get a space battle, and then you get the Duel of the Fates, or Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul. So I love that there's 4 parts kind of being interwoven throughout this sort of finale, and figured we could just kind of take one at a time, almost just kind of whatever we want to talk about with each part of that.
I'm ready to go.
Okay.
My favorite part of this movie is the droids getting unloaded from that droid carrier.
That's pretty cool.
I love that too.
Every time I see it, I still love it. It's so cool. Like, the automation of it.
Yeah,
it slaps.
I completely agree. I love every part of it. I love that it starts out just almost silent, with it like extending the little arm with all the droids hanging there, and it just seems like a boring mechanical thing. Yeah. And once they unfold, it's awesome.
Sorry, other people can talk now.
Yeah.
The battle it was very old school. It's very Civil War.
Yeah.
It's like, you stand here, we stand here, open field, and go. Like, it was the total opposite from the Ewoks that were more guerrilla tactics.
Right. Yeah. Huh.
Maybe that's because it's old school. Like, this is the prequels or something.
Yeah. Well, I think like with the originals, Lucas was inspired by Vietnam, for that. So that makes sense that there would be that sort of jungle warfare, and here it's harkening back, I guess, to straight up, one side versus one side. But I like that the Gungans have like these energy goo balls that they can completely take out the droid electronics with, and
we just don't have a great delivery system.
Yeah.
It's wild that they can make magic goo balls, but they're still using like a catapult
and slingshots
as a projectile.
Yeah.
I felt like they were playing a lacrosse game. Like, they just had like these things that were chucking the balls like in their hands.
Yeah.
They brought a goo ball slingshot to a gunfight.
Yeah. And like I'll call them the Naboobians, didn't have like anything that they could give them to help them a little bit. Like,
they don't even have an army. They have 16 guys that fly ships in like house coats.
It was weird. I didn't.
Yeah.
The scale didn't make any sense. It felt like there was a bajillion Gungans and like 20 Naboobians or whatever.
Well, yeah, because they only had who they were able to take back with them and the handful of pilots that they were able to free earlier. It's like, they don't
I just mean throughout the movie. I never saw anybody.
It
was like,
sure. Yeah, I think I don't really have any notes on the sort of taking back the city kind of aspect to it. I like that there's the decoy thing that happens later, but I
like the bat grappling gun.
Yeah.
Cool.
Ascension guns.
Yeah.
I like when we were in the hangar and all the ships start to take off. We get my favorite starship, I guess you call it, the N1 starship, the yellow and chrome.
Mm-hmm.
That is my favorite. Maybe not full ship, but like single, pilot kind of Starfighter. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I love it.
I'm an X-Wing stan, so I can't.
Okay. Yeah.
They're good ships, but
yeah.
I like that Anakin kind of becomes Jar Jar when he's behind the cockpit or in the cockpit. He's like, what does this do? Whoops. This
Oopsie doodles.
He continues it to the mothership, I'll call it.
He fails upward.
Yeah. Like it's very Jar Jar of him.
I do like that he can understand R2.
Mm-hmm.
Most people can't, but he can. And then his future apprentice, Ahsoka, also can understand R2.
Yeah.
So I like that some.
Or can he read the text that's on screen?
I think in later movies you'll find, maybe he was reading the text on the screen in this scene, but I think he understands them in the future.
Okay. That would not surprise me. I mean, I feel like there are select people that can just understand what he's beeping and whistling. So
yeah.
I mean, what can we say about when Darth Maul shows up? I mean,
I can say that I hate the red walls that stop them from fighting. Like,
okay.
Again, I was like, zip through there, guy. Zip through there. And then they just had like a standoff. Qui-Gon's doing some yoga, breathing exercises.
But you get that super cool percussion then. Those drums and the music.
Yeah.
I like that it creates that separation between, because it stops being 2 versus 1 and it becomes a 1-on-1 fight, and that Obi-Wan has to watch what happens to his master.
And that's what it is. Yeah. It's a device to why that device is there. I'm still confused by
well, because it's also a 1-on-1 fight, as in that while they're separated in their little cages, it's an internal fight. So it's like the samurai thing. Like you have to center yourself internally.
Yeah.
While you're by yourself, you're now fighting yourself or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. I like that. Like Darth Maul's pacing like a tiger, and he's kind of just chilled out, centering his chi or whatever. But I just didn't understand why we were going through the inner workings of this facility that were so complicated.
It looks cool.
And stuff.
Yeah. And that's kind of purely it. It looks cool. It kind of dawned on me like this time around. It's like, why do we suddenly feel like we're in the Death Star?
Yeah.
That feels a little weird. Like, why does this building have a bottomless pit? With
we went from Italy to the Death Star.
Yeah. But I guess maybe you could say that this room is like some sort of
power plant.
Yeah.
There's a waterfall right there. It's a hydro reactor.
Yeah. I don't know.
I feel like it's probably like it's taking power from the planet's core and
it's their wastewater treatment facility.
Okay. Oh man, Qui-Gon gets killed in a sewage plant.
This really puts a damper on the New Hope fight between Vader and Obi-Wan, where it's just 2 men whacking sticks.
Yeah.
They're old then.
Yes.
Yeah, but so's Yoda, and he flips around not too far into the future.
Yeah, but who knows what his skeleton's made out of? Like,
right, yeah.
I don't know. The older I get, the more I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
He has hollow bird bones.
Yeah.
Every morning when I get up, I'm like, yeah, no, I get how Obi-Wan feels. Can I just disintegrate into a puddle of robes?
Yeah.
I'm officially at the age where when I go to the doctor's office, they congratulate me for being able to stand on one foot and put my shoe on the other at the same time. The nurse was like, "Wow, you can still put your shoe.
Wow,
You can still do that. That's impressive."
I didn't know we were here to brag. Jeez. Wow, fancy flamingo shoe putter on her.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I can do that. I got to try that. And if I get hurt, this is all your fault, Liz.
Well, you could sue me, but I don't have much to give you. You can try it, though.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. In my head canon, you're a monster that lives under the bed now.
Yeah, I don't have. That's my only source of income. I'm not very good at it.
Although you do have good lighting.
Yeah, yeah.
$6 on Amazon, baby. 7-year-old loves them.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. All right. So yeah, we've got the greatest fight I've ever seen in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that's why I hate that Darth Maul got done dirty like this. Wasn't he like a stunt guy though, or like a martial artist,
Ray
specialist
Park,
or something?
Yeah,
he does a good job, like with his menacing face, and I mean, he
for sure
says like I don't know, like 12 words total probably.
Right.
But
well, it's not his voice, but
yeah.
Oh, it isn't. Okay.
No, it's Peter Serafinovich.
The guy from he's been in several things. He's in Guardians of the Galaxy and some of the Edgar Wright stuff.
Okay.
But
yeah, he's the one that calls them assholes.
Yeah.
In Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I'll include this in the show notes as well. The take that Dave Filoni has on what the Duel of the Fates means, you know, as far as like it all hinges on this fight and how if Qui-Gon were to win this fight and he was the one to train Anakin, you know, things probably would have worked out. But because, you know, you have Anakin who has a father figure in Qui-Gon and then loses that father figure and has to be trained by Obi-Wan, who kind of is reluctant to take this kid on. He does it out of duty, which is not a great place to start off this relationship, to feel like no one wants you anymore. You know, your father figure gets killed, not in front of you, but the Jedi don't want you. Obi-Wan doesn't really want you, but is compelled to do it because he said he would. And so that's where this kid starts off his Jedi career. And it's like, of course he kind of goes bad. He's like, Qui-Gon lost this fight and wasn't able to train him. And it's like that has repercussions for the rest of this story. So yeah, I really love what Dave Filoni says a lot more, you know, and way more eloquently, but then I love how at the end of the whole thing, Palpatine becomes his father figure. Like he says, you know, oh, well, I'll watch your career with great interest. And then we see in the next two movies that Palpatine is there guiding Anakin, you know, and being that father figure. So it's super that's probably one of the most or the aspects of this whole trilogy that is probably done the best, is kind of laying out the path of Anakin.
I forgot how weird his helmet was. It was like an old school looking leather goggle helmet.
Yeah,
that I guess didn't communicate with everyone else.
Helmet.
It fits him just right, though.
Yeah, it seemed to fit him better than the pod racing one. So
what else?
He kills tons of people, so he got his first taste of blood. Just took out that whole shit, and he's like, "Yay, that was fun."
Yeah.
Let's do that again.
This is pod racing.
Yeah.
Let's try spinning. It's a good trick.
Well, nothing like a little mass murder.
Yeah.
Get you blood pumping.
It's fine.
It's like, oops a daisy, killed a bunch of people. Moving on.
Yep.
Did I do that? Yeah. He does give me a Dennis the Menace kind of look. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the way everything's wrapped up. I mean, you get Obi-Wan starting to be defiant and saying he is going to train Anakin because it's what Qui-Gon wanted. And I like the Jedi, you know, during Qui-Gon's funeral, like they aren't sure which Sith, you know, was killed, you know, the master or apprentice. And I love the way it pans over to Palpatine. And I wish that he would have had just a slight little smile at the tail end of that. I mean,
well, I mean,
bold
you
of
don't
them
really
to assume the Sith was actually killed too.
Well, yeah, as we'll learn, yeah.
Yeah, and then we get a shiny ball, and all is well.
Yeah, I probably learned on Star Wars Minute, and probably from Chrysanthi Tan on that show, that the music that plays from that celebration is like the notes are, I guess, inverted from the
Imperial March.
From the Imperial, yeah. So it's like if you the ah is, yeah, it's a light version of yeah, that we get later on with the Emperor,
Oh.
So cool little
Cool.
detail there.
Yeah.
With that, John Williams obviously was like, I'm gonna just take the music I've already made and just make it sound bright and cheerful. So
Good call.
yeah. I like seeing little Anakin with like his hair's now cut and he's got a tiny little Jedi braid. So
Where does Rat Tail come from? His hair wasn't that long before.
it's a clip on.
Everything's a clip in.
Yeah. Or I mean, this could come like 3 months later, who knows?
He used the Force to grow his hair.
Yeah.
It's Qui-Gon's hair.
Oh,
too soon.
Here,
well, you gotta get it soon because they're gonna burn it soon.
Well, I guess Obi-Wan cut his off and gave it to Anakin. I don't know.
Yeah.
He passed it down.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if there was some sort of, here's the hair of your master. Part of your.
That's gross.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. All right. We'll go. Let's do most heroic and most villainous.
I believe there's a hero in all of us.
I just finally know what I have to do.
That keeps us honest.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
Gives us strength.
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards.
Makes us noble.
And I know in my heart that it's right.
I think I already said my most heroic moment at the beginning.
What was it? Just kind of them fighting at the start.
Yeah, the lightsabers turning on in the poison mist. I was just like, oh yeah, we're here.
I think mine, I'd have to give it to, I think Anakin winning the pod race, because without that, these other folks are screwed, and it's certainly one of the most, like, when he's celebrating that win, it's well done. So I think, I'd give it to Anakin for that.
I'm going to say 14-year-old Padme standing up to everybody. Everybody assumes she's going to be like this easy to push over. Like this is a 14-year-old girl. She doesn't know anything or have any judgment. And we could just roll right over her. And she's like, nah, not today.
I didn't realize she was 14.
Yeah, she's supposed to be 14 in this.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes it a little
elected
less
a 14-year-old ruler.
Okay.
Yeah.
She does great though. Maybe we should try it.
Hey, we've already gone one end of the age spectrum. We might as well try the other.
Let's go the other way.
That's right.
I didn't know she was 14. I assumed she was like 18 or 19 or something.
And I think the age gap there was meant to be even smaller, because I think they initially wanted Anakin to be 12, I think, but then ended
he's
up
like 9 or 10 or something.
Yeah, something like that. So, what about most villainous?
This planet, these people, they are nothing to me.
You were made to be ruled.
The universe's power. You unstoppable power. Come to me, son of Jor-El. Kneel before Zod. And I am that force. I am that power.
In the end, you will always kneel.
Kneel before your
master. I think, Patrick, you'll appreciate this one. It's the Naboo engineer who set up those energy barriers. No, it's really, it would be just Palpatine. I mean, manipulating not one specific moment, but just the way he has manipulated all of these events, from this small little thing at the start. Like was talking about, this little using this trade federation thing as like a jumping off point to, to bring down the Jedi and the Republic is brilliant. So
yeah, it's hard to go against Palpatine on most villainous.
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually say the Trade Federation,
Okay.
because they are willing to do whatever to get just for money, basically.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
better reason
greed.
than money.
Yeah.
At least Palpatine thinks he's doing something to set the galaxy. Like, he has delusions of grandeur. They just want more cash.
All right.
It's a big
I'm
business.
we'll go in Jar Jar Binks.
Sure.
Most villainous, because I not for a second do I believe this whole "oops a daisy, did I do that" kind of thing. I think he knows what he's doing and he's plotting something. I don't trust him.
Have you heard of the Darth Jar Jar conspiracy?
Okay, maybe I heard the opposite. I thought he was supposed to be a Jedi.
No, there's some fan theory of like he is this master Sith Lord, and he's behind the scenes. All of it. He's like, it's really him doing all of it.
You know what? It's got some legs. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I don't trust him.
More than Darth Maul could say.
Oh. It's okay because he gets spider legs later.
Yeah, I'm gonna change my answer. Liz is the most villainous now. That was cold blooded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just trying to do his Papa Sith proud. That's all.
This movie's just all daddy issues.
Yep. Well, Liz, what are your overall final thoughts and rating for this one?
This is a movie that's not terrible to have on in the background. I don't think sitting down and watching it is my jam, but if I can be doing something else and then get up and leave the room occasionally, it's a solid 6.5 out of 10.
Okay, right on.
Needed a vicious editor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely the movie never felt long to me before, but definitely sitting down and watch it this time, I was like, okay, there's a lot of fat that can be trimmed out of this. So I am on board with, like, Patrick, you were saying earlier how long this movie felt. It's like this time around, I actually watched this in 2 parts, and it's watching the first half of this movie took me 4 hours while taking notes. And then the second half took me like 2 hours to watch the last hour. So,
yeah.
But I really enjoy this movie. Like I said, I think time has been good to it, and now that there have been like fan theories that have added to the what's going on with the story, like I talked about earlier with the sort of forgiving Jar Jar, that whole all that stuff, like it does, I think, help now that there's a lot more discussion about this movie. So I think it adds to it, but I give it, I'm at a solid 4 out of 5 for this one.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, there's like an hour of this movie I enjoy, but there's like the other half that I don't.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, let's get on. Let's move. Like, I don't care. And this is weird. Why are we here? Why are we staying on this so long?
Right.
Why do we even have, like, I don't know. Like, I didn't really care about Coruscant that much.
Okay.
It seemed like a weird waste of time to focus on getting there so much, to be there for like a couple wardrobe changes and then head back.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought this was the place we needed to go to save the day. Then really we could have just taken care of this over like a conversation.
This could have been an email.
This whole trip could have been an email.
Classic. Why are we having this meeting when we could have just had an email? Like,
yep.
This whole movie could have been an email.
Yeah. But
hey, why are you blocking my shipping lanes? What are you talking about? I'm not blocking your shipping lanes. Oh, here's the proof. Oh,
he attached.
Okay. Directed by George Lucas.
Per my last email.
Yes. Yeah. So, to me, this is like a solid middle of the road. It's not like bad. It's just overdone. It's so I'm giving it just middle of the road 2.5, like out of 5. Like, yeah. It's I'll likely only ever watch this if I feel like doing like a marathon thing.
Yeah.
Just for completionism, but I would never go out of my way to watch this one.
Okay.
Like specifically. Might check out some clips on YouTube
of
certain parts kind of thing, but sitting down and watching the whole thing,
well,
I'll be interested if I could ever get my daughter to watch this.
I mean,
if she did enjoy it or not.
You have a perfect opportunity because like I don't know if this episode will come out on the day of the 25th anniversary of this movie is coming up, May 19th. So, and it's coming back to theaters on May 3rd.
Okay.
So you could try and take her. So.
Yeah, she's more into scary stuff than sci-fi stuff. So
yeah.
This is nerdy boy stuff because all the boys in her age group are into Star Wars, like once Bad Batch and all that. So.
Yeah. She might see Padme and be like, oh
yeah,
there's a cool chick.
Yeah, she's big into like Stranger Things kind of stuff more than sci-fi Star Wars things, like space stuff. So
right on.
Middle of the road for me.
And like averaged out, it's like we give it a 3.25, which I think is fair. It's not. Yeah.
It tried a lot, did a lot.
It tried.
It did some things well, and it did some things awful, and then it did some things that were just there. So I don't think we're worse off for having this movie. I don't celebrate this movie as like a great thing, so I think that's fair.
Yeah. Well, all right. I will share this last audio submission real quick from a friend of the show, Robin. Robin says,
maybe the real Phantom Menace are the friends we made along the way.
I'm sure it has brought people together in their hatred for this movie or their defending of this movie. So, you probably have made...
It's a conversation starter.
Yeah.
It's a good jumping off point.
It's like, hey, you've been through this movie too. We've got something to talk about. It's like a traumatic event
like
that people can bond over. Yeah.
I was there in the trenches in the
Taco Bell trenches
in the tent outside the theater for 2 days.
Yeah. So that's a fair statement.
Right. Liz, what do you got going on?
I don't podcast really anymore.
That's okay. Do you make any cool art?
I've started designing patterns to sell on fabrics and other home goods. You can find me on Instagram at Liz Whitaker Designs, and maybe there will be links.
Yeah.
I promise nothing.
Very cool. Thank you for coming on. I knew you'd be a good guest for talking this movie, so
yeah, I learned a lot. Everything's got a name. There's a tree, Jedi. I can't wait to see its lightsaber.
We think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I wouldn't take that to like a trivia night or anything.
Yeah.
Now I have a challenge that was thrown down. I need to stand on one foot while putting on another shoe with the other, and
that's right,
not fall over. And based on if I fall over or not, I am old. So we'll see if I am old or not.
Please note, the shoes do not require tying. They are just slip on.
Oh yeah, I haven't tied a shoe in years.
Yeah, yeah. It's all Hey Dudes from here on out. This episode sponsored by Hey Dude.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Patrick, do you know what we have coming up next?
I do not, because I did not look at the list. And I'm kind of scared.
It's Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the one with Heather Graham.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, I haven't either. So that should be fun. I think the next few that we have, Spy Who Shagged Me, The Iron Giant, Mystery Men, and then
who are you gonna have on for Mystery Men?
Oh, I don't know. We'll just find someone.
Somebody off the street?
Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, we'll be back with Spy Who Shagged Me. But until then, stay safe out there, citizens.
Me so happy this over.
Do you swing?
Are you kidding, baby? I put the grr in swinger, baby. Yeah.
Austin
beautiful Felicity Shagwell.
How does that feel, baby?
Lower.
How does that feel, baby?
In a thrilling adventure of intrigue, treachery, love. But Dr. Evil is back, and more evil than ever.
Gonna cry, huh? Oh, yeah. I'm going to go back to the 60s and steal Austin Powers' mojo. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to travel through time. I bid you adieu.
A bombshell with a secret. Robin Swallows.
Swallows. That's an interesting name.
Maiden name Spitz.
Well, which is it, baby? Spitz or Swallows?
Dr. Evil, we began a program to clone you. He is exactly like you in every way. 1/8 your size.
I shall call him Mini-Me.
Mini-Me. Something small, something deadly. Mike Myers. Mike Myers.
What are you, some kind of freak?
You mother...
Heather Graham.
Move over, Rover. This chick is taking over.
And Mike Myers.
Surprise! Surprise!
In the biggest Austin Powers adventure yet. Austin Powers, the spy who shagged me.
Great plan, Einstein. All right, zip it. You can't... Zip. It's simple. Subtitle. Zip it. Found. This... You know...
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Find the show on Facebook and Twitter at Real Comic Heroes. All music and audio are the property of their respective creators.